My stepfather treated me like an outsider for years, but when my biological father left me a huge inheritance, he suddenly wanted to be a family again. I refused, and now my mom is calling me ungrateful for not sharing. I never expected a single phone call to unravel everything I thought I knew about my family. When my mother's voice came through the line, tight with frustration, I already knew I was about to be blamed for something. That was nothing new. But when she accused me of being ungrateful, selfish even, for refusing to share, I felt a sting that ran deeper than any argument we'd had before. For years I had been the outsider in my own home. My stepfather Tom made sure of that. From the moment he married my mother, it was clear I wasn't his responsibility, and he had no intention of treating me like I was. His son Jason, my stepbrother, got everything. Attention, gifts, affection. Meanwhile, I was lucky if I got a good morning. I learned to stay out of the way, to keep my head down, to avoid doing anything that would make Tom look at me with that sharp, disapproving glare. I tried to convince myself it didn't matter. I told myself I was fine. But every ignored birthday, every holiday where I felt like a guest in my own house, chipped away at me. My mother would always say, "That's just how Tom is," like that was supposed to make it okay. I swallowed the hurt, pretended not to care, and counted down the days until I could move out. Then everything changed. My biological father, the man I barely knew, passed away. He had been absent for most of my life. A distant memory of someone who was supposed to love me but never did. I didn't expect anything from him. I didn't even know how to grieve for him. But when the lawyer called me in, I was stunned. My father had left me everything. A house. A substantial amount of money. Things I never imagined would be mine. And suddenly Tom, who had spent years treating me like I was nothing, was all smiles. He started calling me sweetheart, acting like he actually cared. He brought up family vacations, saying we should start spending more time together. Jason, who never had a kind word for me, suddenly wanted to hang out. And my mother? She acted like this was the moment we had all been waiting for. As if I should be grateful for the sudden shift in affection. But I saw right through it. They didn't want me. They wanted my money. When I refused to hand over a single cent, my stepfather's kindness disappeared overnight. The warmth in his voice turned ice cold. Jason went back to pretending I didn't exist. But the worst part? My own mother, the one person I thought would always be on my side, called me ungrateful. She said I was tearing the family apart, that I owed it to them to share. Now I'm left with a choice. Do I let them guilt me into giving away something that was meant for me? Or do I stand my ground, knowing it will cost me whatever fragile relationship I had with them? And the scariest part? I don't know if I even care anymore. I sat in my tiny apartment, my mother's words still echoing in my head. Ungrateful. Selfish. Tearing the family apart, ***, I should have been used to it by now. The guilt trips, the accusations. But this time it felt different. This time she wasn't just upset. She was furious. I could picture her sitting in the living room of the house I grew up in. Tom standing behind her, arms crossed, his expression tight with annoyance. Maybe Jason was there too, pretending to care, waiting to see how much of my inheritance he could get his hands on. It made me sick. For years, I had been nothing but an afterthought in that house. No matter how much I tried, I was never part of their perfect little family. Tom didn't hide the fact that he wished my mother had married someone else, someone without a child tagging along. And Jason? He followed his father's lead, making sure I knew my place. I wasn't one of them. I was just there. And yet, the second money was involved, they suddenly wanted me back. I should have expected it. When I first heard about the inheritance, I didn't even tell my mother right away. I wasn't sure how she'd react. I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd be happy for me. Maybe she'd see this as a fresh start for me. A way to finally build a life outside of the shadows of Tom and Jason. But that wasn't what happened. When she found out, her first reaction wasn't joy or relief for me. It was shock. Not the kind of shock that comes from being happy, but the kind that comes from realizing something slipped through your fingers. She asked how much, her voice too casual, her eyes too sharp. And when I told her, her face changed. First it was just silence. A moment of stillness, like she was doing the math in her head, figuring out what this meant. Then without hesitation, she said, **, you know, your stepfather and I have struggled for years to give you a good life. I think we deserve a little help. Asterisk, I almost laughed. A good life? I couldn't remember the last time I felt like I had one. That was when Tom started playing his game. He acted as if we were suddenly close, as if all those years of coldness had never happened. He started calling more, asking how I was doing, inviting me over for dinner, something he never did before. Jason sent a text out of nowhere talking about family like we'd ever been one. I wanted to ignore them, but a small part of me needed to hear them say it out loud. Needed to hear them admit what this was really about. So I tested them. I told my mother that I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with the money yet. That I was thinking of saving it, maybe buying a small place of my own. The moment the words left my mouth, I saw panic flash in her eyes. You don't need your own place, she said quickly, like she was trying to stop the idea from forming in my head. Asterisk, you have a home here. With us. Asterisk, with them, as if that house had ever felt like a home to me. I didn't answer, so she pushed harder. You know, Jason has been struggling, she added, lowering her voice. Asterisk, and Tom's business isn't doing well. We could really use a little help. Asterisk, there it was. I wanted to ask her why she never worried about my struggles. Why she never noticed the nights I went to bed feeling like I didn't belong, or the times I cried myself to sleep after being treated like an outsider in my own family. But I didn't say any of that. Instead, I asked the one question I knew she didn't want to answer. Asterisk, would you have said any of this if I didn't get the inheritance? Asterisk, she flinched. She flinched because she knew the answer. And she knew that I knew it too. After that, the calls kept coming. First soft and sweet, like they were trying to lure me in. When that didn't work, they turned bitter. My mother said I was being unfair, that I was choosing money over family. That was when I knew. Asterisk, asterisk, they didn't see me as a person, asterisk, asterisk, just a bank account they had suddenly discovered. Tom stopped pretending first. I guess he never had much patience for games. When I turned down his suggestions to invest in his business, he didn't bother hiding his anger. Don't forget everything we did for you, he spat one night over the phone. Asterisk, we raised you. You owe us. Asterisk, I almost lost it right then and there. Owe them. Owe them what? The years of feeling like I wasn't good enough? The birthdays they forgot? The holidays where Jason got everything and I got leftovers? The times I was treated like an inconvenience? If I owed them anything, then they owed me an entire childhood of love and acceptance, and I wasn't getting that back. But the worst part was my mother. She was supposed to be different. She was supposed to be the one person who didn't see me as a burden. And yet, here she was, acting like I was some selfish stranger for not handing over what was mine. It hurt. More than I wanted to admit. But it also made things clear. They didn't want me back. They never had. They just wanted what I had. And now that they knew they weren't getting it, I was the bad guy. I thought about blocking them. I thought about changing my number, walking away from them forever. But part of me hesitated. Not because I wanted to forgive them, but because I wasn't done yet. They thought they could manipulate me, that they could guilt me into giving in, but they had no idea what was coming. I knew things would get worse before they got better, but I wasn't prepared for just how far they would go. The phone calls didn't stop. If anything, they got more desperate. My mother's voice cracked the next time she called. Her words coated in frustration, but underneath it, there was something else. Asterisk, asterisk, fear, asterisk, asterisk. You're being unreasonable, she said. Asterisk, I don't understand why you're doing this to us. To me. Asterisk, there it was again. Making it about her, making it sound like I was hurting her, when all I had done was refuse to be used. I stayed silent, waiting for her to keep going because she always did. Asterisk, do you think this money makes you better than us? That you don't need your family anymore? Asterisk, the word family felt like a sharp edge against my skin. They had spent years making me feel like I wasn't really a part of them, and now suddenly I was supposed to believe that we were one big loving unit? I just want to be left alone, I finally said, my voice steady despite the storm brewing inside me. Asterisk, left alone. Asterisk, she scoffed. Asterisk, oh, so you can sit on all that money by yourself? Is that what you want? To be alone. Asterisk, I exhaled slowly, gripping the edge of the kitchen counter as if it would keep me from saying something I couldn't take back. But the truth was I didn't care anymore. It's mine, Mom, I said, my voice firm now. Asterisk, it was given to me. Not you. Not Tom. Not Jason. Me. Asterisk silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. Asterisk after everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me? Asterisk she finally whispered, and I felt the weight of her words pressing down on me. But I wouldn't break. I never asked you to do anything for me, I said, and this time, there was a coldness in my tone that even I wasn't expecting. She gasped like I had just struck her, and then the line went dead. I stared at the phone knowing this wasn't the end. And I was right. Because the next day, Tom showed up at my apartment. I opened the door to find him standing there, arms crossed, his face unreadable. For a second I thought I had imagined it, that he wouldn't actually have the nerve to come here. But there he was, standing in front of me, looking at me like I was some problem that needed to be fixed. We need to talk, he said, pushing past me before I could even decide if I wanted to let him in. I swallowed down the instinct to shove him right back out. I knew what this was. This wasn't a friendly visit. This was control. He stood in the middle of my small apartment, his eyes scanning the space like he was assessing how much I was really worth. You know, you're making a mistake, he started, his voice carrying that condescending tone he always used when he was pretending to be reasonable. Asterisk am I? Asterisk I crossed my arms, waiting. Asterisk yeah. Asterisk he sighed, shaking his head. Asterisk you're young. You don't understand how the world works. Money like this, it doesn't come without expectations. Asterisk I clenched my jaw. Asterisk and what expectations are those? Asterisk family, he said smoothly. Asterisk looking after the people who raised you, making sure they're okay. Asterisk I almost laughed. Raised me? What part of my childhood did he think counted as raising me? That's funny, I said instead. Asterisk because I don't remember you looking after me when I needed it. Asterisk his jaw tightened, but he recovered quickly. That's the past, he said, waving his hand like the years of neglect meant nothing. Asterisk we're talking about now. About doing the right thing. Asterisk the right thing for who? Asterisk I shot back. He smiled but there was nothing warm about it. You're emotional right now, he said like I was a child throwing a tantrum. Asterisk I get it. But you'll regret shutting us out. Because when the money's gone, when you realize what really matters, you'll have no one left. Asterisk I felt my hands clench into fists at my sides. Asterisk you've never been there for me, Tom. Don't pretend you suddenly care. Asterisk his smile faded, and for the first time, I saw the frustration slip through the cracks. Fine, he said, his voice dropping to something harder, colder. Asterisk if that's how you want to play this, then so be it. But don't expect your mother to forgive you for this. And don't expect us to be there when you finally wake up and realize how much you threw away. Asterisk he turned to leave, but before he reached the door he paused. Asterisk oh and Jason? Asterisk he added, his voice casual. Asterisk he's not happy either. He's got big plans and you're standing in the way. Asterisk I swallowed. A warning and then he was gone. I locked the door behind him, my heart hammering in my chest. They weren't just upset anymore. They were angry. And something told me this was only the beginning, that I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the conversation with Tom, his words pressing into my mind like sharp edges. Jason's not happy either. He's got big plans and you're standing in the way. Asterisk it wasn't just a warning, it was a threat. And knowing Jason, he wasn't the type to sit back when something didn't go his way. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet, my phone didn't ring. No texts. No voicemails. No surprise visits. It felt unnatural, like the silence was waiting for something. But I knew better than to let my guard down. This wasn't over. And I was right. It started with a letter. A formal printed letter in an envelope with no return address, slipped under my apartment door. When I opened it, my stomach twisted. It was a legal notice from my mother. A claim against my inheritance. I scanned the words, my vision blurring with anger. She was arguing that since my biological father had abandoned me as a child, she had been the one to raise me, and therefore, she was entitled to a portion of my inheritance as compensation for financial and emotional support. I gripped the letter so tightly that the paper crumpled in my hands. Financial and emotional support? The irony of it almost made me laugh. She hadn't done this alone. This had Tom written all over it. He was smart, too smart to just ask for money outright. If he couldn't manipulate me into giving it up, he'd try to take it legally. I wanted to scream. This wasn't about fairness. This wasn't about family. This was about greed, and Jason? He was nowhere in sight. But I wasn't naive. He was waiting just like Tom. Waiting for this to break me down so that when I finally caved, he could come in and take his share. But they underestimated me. I wasn't the same scared girl who tiptoed around their house, afraid of saying the wrong thing. I wasn't the outsider anymore. I had power now. I contacted a lawyer. He listened patiently as I explained everything, and when I handed him the letter, he barely blinked. They don't have a case, he said simply. Asterisk, your mother wasn't your legal guardian by the time you became an adult. There's no obligation for you to give them anything. This won't hold up in court. Asterisk, I should have felt relieved. But I knew my family too well. They weren't just going to walk away. And they didn't. The next thing I knew, rumors started spreading. Friends from my hometown messaged me, asking why they were hearing that I had abandoned my mother in her time of need. Someone, a very familiar someone, had been telling people that I had come into money and refused to help my own struggling family. I read through the messages in disbelief. The story was twisted, making me sound like the villain. In their version, Tom and Jason were just innocent victims, while my mother was a selfless woman who had sacrificed everything for me, only to be repaid with nothing but cruelty and greed. I could see their plan now. They wanted me to break down under the pressure. They wanted me to feel so guilty, so cornered that I would just give in. But they underestimated me again. If they wanted a fight, they were going to get one. I wasn't backing down. Not this time. But then, something unexpected happened. One night I got a message. It was from Jason's ex-girlfriend. We had never been close, barely spoke really, but she had seen what was happening, and she had something to tell me. Jason's planning something, she wrote. Asterisk, I don't know all the details, but it's about the inheritance. Be careful. Asterisk, a chill ran down my spine. What was he planning? I stared at the message, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it was trying to escape my chest. Jason was planning something. Those words stuck in my mind, circling like a storm I couldn't see but could already feel closing in. I hesitated before responding. Asterisk, what do you mean? What is he planning? Asterisk, 3 dots appeared, flickering as she typed. Then they disappeared. Then they came back. My nerves stretched tighter with each passing second. I don't know exactly, she finally sent. Asterisk, but I heard him talking to Tom a few days ago. He said if you wouldn't give the money willingly, he'd find another way. He said he wasn't going to let some entitled brat walk away with everything while he gets nothing. Asterisk, a wave of anger shot through me so fast, I had to grip the edge of the table to keep from throwing my phone. Entitled? Jason, who had never worked for anything, who had always been handed everything while I got the scraps. Asterisk, he thought I was entitled? Asterisk, but anger wouldn't solve anything. I needed to think. Asterisk, did he say what he was going to do? Asterisk, I texted back. Another long pause. Then asterisk, no. Just that he had a plan. And Tom told him to be smart about it. Asterisk, I exhaled slowly. That was worse than if Jason had just blurted out some half-baked scheme. If Tom was involved, this wasn't just Jason throwing a tantrum. This was strategic. And that scared me. I thanked her for telling me and put my phone down, trying to think. But my mind was racing too fast. I needed proof. I needed to know what they were up to before they blindsided me. And then an idea struck me. I still had access to Jason's old streaming account. Years ago, when we were still forced to live under the same roof, he had used my email to reset his password once. He had never changed it back. It was a long shot. But at this point, I needed every advantage I could get. My fingers trembled as I typed in the login information. The screen loaded. Then, to my shock, it worked. I was in. I clicked through the saved devices, looking for anything useful. My heart stopped when I saw it. A linked Discord account. I clicked, praying it was still logged in. It was. I scrolled through his messages, scanning quickly. Most of it was the usual nonsense, gaming chats, random memes. But then I saw a group chat. The title sent ice down my spine. The payback plan. My throat went dry. I clicked on it, and what I saw made my blood freeze. Jason had been plotting against me for weeks. There were messages from him and a few of his friends, discussing ways to turn people against me, to make me look unstable, to spread lies that could pressure me into Giving up the money ***. One message stood out. We'll hit her where it hurts. If she won't give us what we deserve, we'll make sure she loses it anyway. I stared at the screen, my pulse roaring in my ears. They weren't just trying to manipulate me anymore. They wanted to destroy me ***, and I had just found the evidence to prove it. I sat frozen, staring at the screen, my mind trying to catch up with what I was seeing. They weren't just trying to guilt me anymore. They were trying to ruin me ***, my stepbrother, my own mother, and Tom. ***, they had turned me into their enemy ***, and the worst part? They had been planning it like a game, like I was some obstacle standing in the way of their payday. I wasn't scared anymore. I was done. I took screenshots of everything. Every message, every threat, every disgusting comment about how they would make me regret keeping the money ***. Then I sent it all to my lawyer. If they wanted to play dirty, I was about to show them what real consequences looked like. The next morning my phone rang. It was my mother. Again. I let it go to voicemail, but this time she actually left a message. "You've gone too far," she snapped. "I don't know what you think you're doing, but you're making a mistake. If you want to throw your family away for money, fine. But don't come crying when you realize you have no one left." I almost laughed. No one left. They had never been there in the first place. A few hours later, Jason sent a text. "You really want to do this? Fine. But remember, I know things about you too. Don't make me use them." I rolled my eyes. It was pathetic. He thought he could scare me, but I wasn't the one with evidence of a conspiracy against my own family sitting in my inbox. My lawyer called later that day. He had already filed for a cease and desist against my mother, Jason, and Tom. If they harassed me again, spread lies, or attempted to defame me in any way, we would take legal action. And then I waited. It didn't take long. The next morning the texts stopped. The calls stopped. The silence returned, but this time it wasn't the calm before the storm. It was the kind of silence that follows defeat. Days passed. Then weeks. And then, something unexpected happened. I got an email. From an unknown address. No subject line. I hesitated before opening it, but when I did, my breath caught in my throat. It was from Jason. "You think you won? Fine. Keep your stupid money. But just so you know, Mom told Tom to do this. Not me. She wanted it more than anyone." I stared at the screen, my hands suddenly cold. I knew Jason was a liar. A manipulator. But something about this felt too real to ignore. Had my mother orchestrated all of it? Had Tom just been following her lead? Had I spent my entire life trying to win the approval of someone who was always waiting for the moment she could use me? A slow, sinking feeling settled in my chest. I had won. I had my money, my independence, my freedom from them. But I had lost something else in the process. The last illusion that my mother had ever truly loved me. I closed the email, my hands trembling. Jason's words shouldn't have mattered. He had spent years tearing me down, treating me like I was nothing. And yet, what he said lingered. Had I been blaming the wrong person all along? Tom was cruel. Jason was selfish. But my mother, she was supposed to love me, protect me, not use me, not plan to take what was mine the second she saw an opportunity. I thought back to all the times I had defended her in my mind, told myself she was just stuck, that she had no choice but to go along with Tom. But deep down, had she ever truly been on my side? Or had I just been fooling myself because the truth was too painful to face? For a while I stared at my phone, wondering if I should call her, ask her, confront her, ***, demand to know if Jason was telling the truth. But what would that change? She had already shown me who she was. And I was finally ready to believe it. I deleted the email. That was the last time I heard from any of them. Life moved on. I built something for myself. I traveled, met new people, created a future without looking over my shoulder. Some days I thought about my mother, wondering if she ever regretted what she did. But I never reached out, because some people don't deserve second chances, and some families are better left in the past.